Hello everybody, Brian here. In this video, I want to show you this car here. This is a 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe and it's a plug-in hybrid model. So in this video, I want to show you around the features on the inside and the outside of the car, and we're going to go for a drive in the car. And by the end of the video, you will have a much better idea of what these cars are about. If you want information on this car, just in case you're considering buying the car and you're in Ireland, 086 843 1945. Brian's my name. Call, text, WhatsApp, whatever suits, and I'll run through information on trading in your car, financing, if you want information about the car itself, or whatever you want to know. Anyway, we'll start off and we'll have a look around some of the features on the outside of the car, and then we'll go for a drive, and then we'll have a look around the inside as well. So to be fair, these are a super stunning car. As long as we've been selling Hyundai, kind of Santa Fe, obviously being the most expensive car in the range, is the kind of range topper, and they're kind of, I suppose, a really sophisticated looking car, but it's also 7 seats, and in this case it's also pragmatic because it is a plug-in hybrid. This is a one owner car from new, and what's nice in this one actually is, which has gone very, very rare, it has a free servicing package. So for the next, I think, 3 or 4 years or whatever it is, depending when the car is purchased, it will have some free servicing on it, so that's definitely a big bonus because it's quite seldom these days. So let's start off with the front of the car. Things I like on the front of these, they have this big imposing grille, so I think they're very kind of classy and upmarket looking. It's quite an aggressive front end look, and I really like the daytime running lights, the way they work, because they start in the bottom section here, but it's like they kind of come up through into the top section. So this is a parking light or a daytime running light. In through here you'll have your dip headlights in here, and then these are the full headlights over here, and then the indicators in through here. On the front of the car then, parking sensors are going to be standard as well. Now this is a silver car, but actually you might notice it, these are more of a brushed aluminium finish along here, so it just kind of happens to blend in on the silver car, and down the side as well there's more brushed aluminium. It's just because the colour of the silver, they kind of look more congruent. The wheels in the car are a 19-inch wheel. The diesel versions actually come with a different wheel. Now the wheel is a kind of a diamond cut finish, so it's shiny and reflective, but what's significant about it is there's more, for want of a better phrase, spoke, and if you look at the diesel version, it has a different wheel, but these wheels are more designed to be kind of more aerodynamic, and that kind of, I suppose, goes in tandem with it being the plug-in hybrid version, which is more focused on fuel efficiency. I'll go through all that in a minute. So looking at the rear, I quite like these tail lights as well. The way they come across and up and down, and obviously indicators and stop lamps and all that kind of stuff are there, and the indicators I think are really neat. So if you look down along here, there's a red bar that goes across, so at a glance you can't really see where the indicators are, but once you can turn them on, then you can see actually the red bar changes into orange just on the edges where they are. Again, there's some brushed aluminium along the rear, but it's kind of a little bit more hidden because the car is a silver car, and even the chrome around the windows is a little bit hidden as well because, again, it is a silver car. But I think it all comes together like quite nice. I think the silver is a kind of a rich looking colour. There's dark tinted glass on the rear. The door handles are actually kind of a brushed aluminium as well. On a black car you would see that kind of stuff a lot more, but I quite like silver. Actually, do you know what, I like black. Now that I think about it, I like all the colours because I think these are a really nice car. That car then will have roof rails up high, so you can put a box, because, okay, if you're going to use this car as a 7-seater, to be fair, in the summer what will happen is you'll have 7 seats up, and unless you get the really square block of ice cream, dead square big people carriers, Ford Galaxies and all that stuff, every kind of cool looking 7-seater, unfortunately once the seats are up, the boot tends to be small. It is just a fact of life, not unique to this vehicle at all. So what a lot of people do is, if they have 7 people going on holidays, 2 bars and then the big roof box on top, like what you see on the one in the Tucson in the showroom. Anyway, in terms of getting in and out of the car, so you can use a key like you normally would, so you can lock the car, unlock the car, that'll control the lights and stuff like that as well. It also controls things like the wing mirrors, and the other thing though is most people will use that key more in the fashion of keyless entry. So you'll get this, put it and leave it sitting in your pocket, and what you'll do is you'll walk up to the car, you press the button, car's open, or similarly when you walk away you'll press the button and it locks, as long as, you know, you're within 2 meters of the car with the key on you. Anyway, I think it's sensible for us to go for a drive. This is a super rare interior. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. It's what's called a camel two-tone. So most Santa Fe's you'll see in Ireland, like this white one here, they end up with an interior that is more of a grey. So it's a lovely interior, and that is what you're going to see in most cars in Ireland. But for this customer, when she bought it, she thought this kind of tan camel interior was quite rich. But the other thing as well is the roof and the other one is a light grey, whereas this roof line is completely black, and she just liked the contrast. So when you're driving one of these, to move the seat, a couple things to know: backwards, forwards, up, down. This here is a bit of a rarer one. You see the way the seat kind of coils back or goes further out, so it gives you good support if you're tall. This section here gets longer, obviously backwards and forwards, and then lumbar support for your lower back. I think the material on the seat as well, it's kind of really classy and upmarket looking the way that's done. It's kind of more European. It kind of reminds me of some upmarket Citroens and things like that. So starting the car, you get the nice kind of dash set up along the clocks, and this starts up in through here. It's a cold day, so what's actually automatically happening in this here, the steering wheel warmer and the seat warmer has come on automatically because it's detected that it's cold. During the summer, by the way, I could have gone for a cold seat, so it's warm or cold. Now I am going to come back to the plug-in hybrid stuff but this is just for immediately start off. This is an automatic vehicle, so brake, accelerate, that's it. You do nothing else. From the point of using the gearbox, drive to go forwards, reverse to go backwards, neutral, which almost is never used unless you're towing the car, and then park. So that means one to go forward, one to go back, one to park, and there is a handbrake over here as well. Going to go for a quick drive first, and when we come back I'm going to explain just about how the plug-in hybrid thing works in relation to normal hybrids, in relation to electric cars also. So to move away, foot on the brake, select D, safety belt on, quick tap of the accelerator, and away we go. So in terms of driving these then, they're 1.6 turbocharged engine, and in here then, and they're 4-wheel drive, so it tells you in here exactly the amount of power that's going to each wheel. And then looking around the car, nice panoramic views, big windows. This car would feel a lot higher than like a Tucson or a Sportage. It's significantly bigger that way. The camera, you can actually have the camera facing backwards when you're driving forward, which I think is really cool. Or you can go into the energy monitor, so it tells you, where the power is coming from at different times, if you're using battery, if you're using the engine, whatever way you have it set up. In terms of the kind of maneuverability, like it is a big car, but it's not a difficult car to do something like a 3-point turning, as you see along here. So if we go for reverse, one thing it actually has as well, it has these like dipping wing mirrors. So when I go for reverse, the mirrors kind of dip down lower, so it gives you an idea of what the rear wheels are doing when you're reversing out. So that's kind of handy, so it is. And the cross monitors there as well, so if something comes behind you from outside your visual field, it has an arrow that it kind of warns you that something's in your blind spot. Even when you're driving forward, that blind spot monitor's there. So 235 horsepower when it's not charged, and if I had charged it, it'd be giving me 265 horsepower because it'd be getting some power. You have these paddles as well, so I can go down the gears on the left, or if I want, I can go up the gears on the right hand side. That just gives you more driver engagement and driving pleasure. So it drives really good. Okay, I think this might be a useful time to run through plug-in hybrid versus EV. So you might skip this if you're familiar already, but just for some people, and it's still a fairly common question, and it's still a fairly confusing thing for a lot of people when they're trying to figure out just how it works. Never mind what's right for them, just actually how the whole thing works. So it's going to be a bit of an analogous explanation. Okay, this is going to be basic, I'm not going to lie to you. Right, this is an engine, so we're going to use this as an engine. Car has an engine, that's fine. Right, in terms of battery sizes usually, okay, so say for example, a hybrid car, okay, so not a plug-in, something like a Tucson or a Kona, a lot of Toyotas you'll see on the road, they'll have an engine and they will have this 1.5 or so kilowatt hour battery. So it allows them to do little bursts of driving. They'll basically be able to, do half a kilometre here. Toyota say like up to 70% of the time driving. I don't think that's in all any way accurate whatsoever. But, it'll do little bursts here and there. It'll assist the petrol engine. If you're cycling a bicycle and it's an electric bicycle, you won't feel as tired when you drive in or when you cycle an electric bicycle because you have this assist. In some ways, it'll be able to pull you along without you pedalling at certain points, but then you need to pedal again to charge it back up. That's kind of in an analogous fashion, that's what's happening here. Okay, the difference is with the likes of a plug-in hybrid, which is what we're sitting in, it has a bigger battery. So small battery for the hybrid, bigger battery for the plug-in hybrid. So that means then the engine works with a bigger battery. Now this is where it gets slightly confusing. If this plug-in hybrid is not charged, it's probably only working with about that much section of its battery. So if you can imagine, let's put that over there. It's working with about that much area because it's not plugged in. If you do plug it in, it gives you all this extra. So just to recap again, engine and not plugged in. So we've never plugged in this plug-in hybrid. It'll still do some electric driving. So it'll do this kind of section along here. So like we were saying, it'll be able to do exactly pretty much what a hybrid normally does. But if you do plug it in, it's giving you all this extra battery here. And usually in this case then, it's giving you about a 50 kilometer full EV drive. A full electric car, however, has none of these. So you can see, small battery in the hybrid, slightly, well, bigger battery in the plug-in, big battery in the electric, because it does all the driving, and it has no engine. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So this car, if we plug it in here, so with the likes of these cars, they do come with a charge cable. This plugs into a 3-pin socket in any wall, in any house, and then you plug the other side in here. This is a 13.8 kilowatt hour battery. It gets 3.3 kilowatt hours put into the battery every hour. So 3.3 kilowatts per hour. So that means 3, 6, 9, 12, up to about 13. So about 4 hours to fully charge it. And then you will get 55 kilometers of EV driving. If you want to use a charge point like that, then you will need to buy a cable as an extra, or what most people do is they'll get a charge point put in the house, which comes with a reel that literally just plugs into the car. Again, we can go through all that with you. So like we're saying, this is the size of the boot. But a lot of the time, people don't always use the 7 seats. So as you see, the boot gets massive, and then there is a cover that I can pull over and cover this area if you're not going to use it. I am going to pull up the seats, however, because I want to show you the amount of space that's in the back. To get into the back, quite easy actually. Before you had to, like, all these seats are independent, right? So you have a bar. So that's going backwards and forwards, right, fine. Again, that nice kind of material that's on the, you know, I think it's quite classy. The easy way to get into these days, that was the way you used to have to do it. The easy way on these, come from the left hand side, press the button, and it just goes forward, allows you in. This obviously you wouldn't have up if you were, you know, using the rear seats regularly, so you would just take it out. And then you get into the back, and yes, it's not glamorous because I'm an adult. It's really for younger kids, right? If you're sitting in the back, you can let the seats forward using that button, and then move forward like that. So that's kind of handy. You have USB, but right, realistically speaking, can I sit in the back? Yes. Is it comfortable for an adult? No. And this is the function of them all. Like, I do have drinks holders and that kind of stuff there, but it's really for a child, 10, 11 years of age. It's just your bum is low and your knees are high. So I'm 6 foot, so I'm going to struggle. But could I do it? Yes, absolutely. So a lot of people then, when they use these cars, actually one cool thing, there's heated seats with 2 stages on the rear for the rear passengers. You get this nice design along here, and it's a Krell audio system, so it is a good stereo system. There's these entry guards as you get in, there's some storage, there's ventilation, there's USB connectors, 2 of them there, and then, yeah, so like I was saying to you, most people that buy these 7-seaters actually don't use them as 7-seaters, they use them as 5-seaters. So this is the headroom I'm going to have as a 6-foot person, this is the legroom I'm going to have as a 6-foot person. So yeah, like, you feel like you're in a much more significant car than a Tucson. It's all black back here, which is kind of very pragmatic. And then I can also control the seats, because sometimes with 7-seaters, it's about mixing and matching what the best way is to have the seats. So for back passengers, they can actually control the front seat over here. Moving up front, so like we were saying, the cabin we saw when we were driving, nice 2-tone effect. So the dash is low. So the whole reason, this seat is electric like the driver's, but it gives the passenger much better visibility than it did with the other one. You have a floating dash that's over here, that's fine. You have these big clocks which can be customized and changed in terms of color, but also you have eco, sport and smart functions which control how aggressive the cruise control, the air conditioner is, and the throttle response. There is armrest, there is drinks holder, USB, wireless charging, gearbox we saw already, heated steering wheel. This is where you select if you want to go. So if say the battery was charged, you would select HEV, which means you want hybrid driving, which is basically like what we said before. I want hybrid driving, which is the engine plus a portion of my battery. Or you can go in here and you can select, okay, well I can't because it's not fully charged, but I could have selected electric driving, which basically means now it's running just that battery there without the engine. So it's just driving like an electric car. Okay, so we saw the ventilated seating and all that kind of stuff. The camera here, if we want, we can actually have the camera facing backwards when we're driving forwards. These are all the air conditioning controls, dual zone, different temperatures on each side. And then up through the centre here, things like map, navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Passenger talk's a cool one. That means you can talk here into a speaker and the people sitting all the way in the third row can actually hear you through the speakers. So it kind of drowns out the road noise, radio, media, all that kind of stuff in through there. And then Blue Link, so you can monitor the car remotely where it's parked and the status of the car, and it's quite useful. Headlights will be automated, so they'll dip when they meet traffic. Wipers come on when it rains. One thing on the trip computer, so we saw when we were driving there, we can watch our four-wheel drive system and which wheels are driving the car, tyre pressures, engine temperature. But just say, for example, if you're intertwining between the different modes of driving, if I had this car charged, okay, it would tell me that I can do, if I had a charge, it would tell me up to 55 kilometers of EV driving. So that top section is just telling you how much EV driving you can do. This bottom section is telling you how much fuel and hybrid driving you do. So the bottom section will be talking about petrol driving with a little burst here and there from our smaller battery. And then the top one here would be where basically we want to drive using the bigger battery. So in other words, driving like an electric car. So that's just useful to know. Anyway, hopefully that video gives you a better idea of what this car is all about. And if there's any questions or queries, please do give me a shout. 086 843 1945. So it is a Santa Fe plug-in hybrid 1.6. We can take any trade in and we can organize finance. And it is a car that's one owner with a full service history. So hopefully the video is useful. Hopefully you like the car. Thanks a million for watching.